I've been distracted by the quote on chapter 6. The most dangerous food is wedding cake.
It's not a good quote. I loved that one.
The most dangerous food is wedding cake.
That's good.
Cake.
Thinking about
Jesus.
Thinking about that coconut cake they had at Montague's the other day, but I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
You could have.
I love coconut
I would have been
cake.
okay.
A good substitute for coconut cake is a nice shortbread cookie.
Welcome back to the Ransomed Heart Podcast. I'm John Eldredge.
And I'm Stacey Eldredge.
That would be your cue.
Hi, y'all. I'm Craig.
This is our little nephew, Craig.
Is this thing on? Check.
You know, it just keeps cracking me up that the absolute madness of doing a series on marriage. I think most people associate us by now that the guys kind of do the guys thing, Wild at Heart, boot camps, Way of the Wild Heart, Fathered by God, Band of Brothers, all that. And the gals do the gals thing, captivating retreats and how rich those are. And I would have been content to just cruise along that path, actually, for the next 10 years. But God has brought marriage up as something that he really put on our hearts to talk about and to help people deal with. So welcome back. This is another conversation on marriage. Where do we want to go? I just tossed the ball out there. Marriage. Stacey, what do you want to talk about?
Oh, I want to talk about how fabulous it is to belong to each other. I think that's just one of the joys of marriage is that you know who you're going to sit next to for the rest of your life. You've got a dance partner. You got a date for Friday night. The question has been answered, who will I go with? And we really do belong to one another. I'm with him. She's with me.
Yeah.
I did flash to those T-shirts. I'm with stupid. But that's not...
That's not what you meant.
That's not what I meant. The joy that comes from living life together. And one of the great gifts of marriage is companionship. So let's talk about that.
Okay, here's where my mind just flashed to. Genesis chapter 2. It is not good. Right? Sin hasn't invaded the garden yet. Satan hasn't invaded the garden yet. The world hasn't, fallen into darkness and utter suffering yet. Everything is great.
All the animals have been named.
Thank you, Craig.
And God's in perfect fellowship.
Animal crackers run by what?
Lions and tigers. Okay, go ahead.
Everything's great. Everything is good. And then God says, actually, something isn't good. It's not good for man to be alone. And that's where my thoughts, Stacey, went when you were talking about belonging was like, yeah, whoa. There is this really primal need in the human race to belong, to not be alone, whatever that aloneness looks like. And friendship addresses it, family, community, certainly.
Yes.
The body of Christ addresses it. I mean, to be members together in the fellowship of Christ, there's nothing like it. But in that story, what God says is, therefore, I'm going to introduce marriage. I want you to belong to one another. I want you to have someone.
That's good.
It's amazing.
So thanks for listening.
Yeah.
I just went to, just one of the joys of our marriage is when we play together. And quickly I go to, we don't do everything together, but we do enjoy much together. And that's been a transition over the years. Okay, we've been married for 26 years. And probably for the first decade or so, we did play together some, but we fell into this pattern that I've seen be the sorrow of a lot of marriages, and it was really living separate lives. I have these hobbies, and this is good to have your own interests, your own hobbies, of course you're not going to share everything. But there needs to be an overlap because the goal isn't to be a roommate.
Yes.
Goal is to be a husband and a wife.
Oh my gosh, the separate lives thing. I mean, I have my job, you have yours, right? I get up at a certain time, have breakfast, skip breakfast, you leave, I leave. You know, people just go their separate ways. We come back. People don't live their lives together like very much in terms of actual time spent. You get home, you're exhausted. If you have kids, they totally dominate the scenario. What do they need? Soccer, music, church group, yada, yada. And the actual time you end up having for one another, it's two people living separate lives under the same roof.
Yeah. My pause a few moments ago was simply, as you were setting up the story, John, and the two shall be one flesh. And I was just struck by a companionship that goes beyond just the physical presence or just kind of hanging out or making it last, but a companionship that in some way is described as one flesh. That's where my mind went is more than roommates. I mean, pushing on and into something deep and profound, intimate on multiple levels.
Oh, yes.
I think companionship is the greatest gift of marriage, actually. I really do. And there's a lot of other gifts, and we're going to unpack that. I mean, it's a powerful thing to have a sense of purpose together, and it's a powerful thing to be able to fight together. You know, Stasi was just praying for me the other night, and it was huge to have that. But that's not the day in and the day out. The day in and the day out, the consistent, I think, I don't know how to describe it, bedrock of marriage is companionship.
Even above eros.
Yeah. E-R-O-S. Eros.
Sexual intimacy.
Yeah.
I mean, which we need, want. We'll even talk about that later.
Right.
But as far as a priority in a marriage,
Right.
where you live, I mean, even the word is nice, companionship.
I was just going to say more about companionship. I mean, what are you describing there?
You think of, my faithful companion, the one who is beside you, the one who has your back, the one who you have a deepening friendship with, who can get you. John knows where I am. I could be in a bus station, if we heard each other's laugh, we could spot each other. Just that knowing of each other's personalities, likes, dislikes, and like you said, Craig, pushing into a deeper friendship, enjoying it, enjoying time together, making choices to pursue the other's heart and what do they love? What do they want to do?
That's so good.
Well, then choosing to do that.
It's so good. I mean, you say, what is companionship? And I think in the last couple of days, laughing about stuff together, laughing about people that drive us crazy together, and then in the next moment, concern for our sons, talking on the phone to one of them who's not away at college, and then sharing that part of life together, then sitting down and having dinner, sharing that part of life together, watching something that we enjoy on television together. I'm sharing, something from a book I read with Stasi. It's all of that. It's the richness of the texture of a shared life. It's sharing life.
So I'm thinking most books on marriage talk about intimacy, loving one another. Is companionship those things, John? Does companionship include those things? It feels like that's a new word or an idea to champion in marriage, companionship. I don't know that I've heard people put it that way much.
Huh.
Your partner, they may not be your best friend. That's not maybe actually available in every marriage. But they can be your faithful companion.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most loving thing that John can say to me is asking the question, how is your day?
Yes.
And waiting for the answer. That whole sense of there is a person in this world who I matter to, who my day in and day out, little things, who I can tell the story of getting irritated about the woman in front of me in the grocery line, or my heart breaking over the woman in front of me in the grocery. Little things, the little details, nuances of life. I have a companion that I can share those things with, and I love that. That enriches my life and our marriage.
And as I'm listening to you describe that, suddenly I was in the heart and mind of a listener who's going, I don't have that. That is so far from our reality. Oh, we love each other. We're not really companions, people who feel very lonely in their marriage. And so what I want to quickly add is this is actually something that's chosen. You choose towards this. You make choices towards companionship because Stacey and I, on the other hand, have very different interests. She doesn't like bow hunting. I don't particularly like gardening. She loves a good novel. I love outdoor shows, and you start ticking off our differences, it would be very easy to drift apart. Not out of malice, not out of hatred, but just, I like this, I'm going here, you like that, you're going there, and you end up drifting apart. And so companionship is something that's chosen. I'm very aware that we have chosen towards it over time. And then you cultivate it. Then you begin to enjoy those conversations, right? How was your day? How was your day becomes something that's not, oh, I've got to remember to ask her how she's doing. It's so natural. It's absolutely natural to the marriage. But you've cultivated it. You've built towards it.
That's so important, John. And I think another important factor is that I can't pin all of my need for companionship onto John. He just is fabulous, but I need girlfriends. And he needs men friends. There are some things, he doesn't want to go get a pedicure with me. So,
No.
And I like going to a movie much more than John does. Or a good conversation over a cup of coffee. Girlfriends, girl time. I have a lot to say, and I have a lot more words than John actually has the capacity to hear. I'll just actually see this glazed look come over his eyes sometimes, and I go, okay, we're done.
Full.
Yeah, we're done
Ding!
there.
I just reached full. Please stop talking.
La, la, la. Anyway. So that is just really important too. And something that I've grown in my marriage is to not feel threatened by the fact that John needs male companionship. When he goes out camping or backpacking or fly fishing or hunting or time alone with God, and he comes back a better man. And I want that for him.
Yes.
And for me.
So don't be jealous when your spouse has other interests. Don't be jealous when they enjoy hanging out with other people. We're not describing that Christian fantasy of the shining barrier, where it's just the two of us against the world. No. We're not describing that. But we are describing cultivating a genuine companionship with one another, where you share life together.
I'm sitting here just amazed at this conversation and just pondering the whole thought of companionship. I want to hear more on this just for my own life. And you can get more on this getting John and Stacey's book, Love and War, and it'll be released December 15th. And there's a whole lot of things that are available on this message. And go to loveandwar.net, and you can find out more information about the book. Its release date, December 15th. And then John and Stacey will be doing a tour in January and February on this topic that both you and your friends will want to go to. It ought to be a rich time. So loveandwar.net. And thanks for listening.